Welcome to Spoiler Peace Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. My pronouns are he, him.
My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
My name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I write for the Chicago Reader, and I'm also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Or as we would say, because we're watching a French movie today, association.
Lebafka.
Lebafka. That's right. And it would be le, because it's a non-French word that we're making a French word. So they're all masculine in French. Le weekend. I think it's just so it's easier to, you know that weekend. Well, there was one word in the movie that I'm like, that's a French word now? Oh, hobby. Anyway, we can get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was funny. Okay, yeah, so we're here to talk about movies as usual. We have 2 movies on the docket, but before we get to those, I'll mention that this week over on our Patreon, we are talking about the 1991 film, My Own Private Idaho, which we decided we wanted to talk about. It came up recently in a poll, and we were like, it didn't get picked, but we totally have been meaning to see it, so we decided to talk about it. And we had a really fun conversation about the movie. And so if you're not a patron, please consider becoming a patron. Each week we release exclusive episodes just for our patrons. We usually talk about older films, occasionally newer films. Like in the previous episode, we talked about Missing, which is a new film. We have polls you can vote on, and it's good stuff. So for $5 a month, you can sign up and vote in polls, and you get exclusive audio. It's a fun time. And while I'm at it, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
So, onward to this week's movies. We have 2, as I mentioned. We are going to be talking about the new Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1.
That Part 1 is pivotal.
Yes, it is pivotal. And we're going to be talking about the film Final Cut, original title in French, Coupé. And that's a remake of a film, a horror film. What was it called? One Cut of the Dead?
Something like that.
Yes.
That is it.
Okay. It's a French remake of One Cut of the Dead. So we're going to start with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I have not seen, but I'm looking forward to hearing about it from both Megan and Dave. But first, it's directed by Christopher McQuarrie. It is written by Christopher McQuarrie, Bruce Geller, and Eric Jenderson. It's weird looking at that because it makes me think of our old co-host Chris Jensen for some reason, the arrangement of the letters. And obviously it stars Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. Haley Atwell is in this one. Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby. And looks like a few others in there too. And we'll do the one sentence IMDb, and then I'll look to Megan and Dave to fill in the blanks that are left by this one sentence. Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. This sounds like any Mission Impossible movie.
That's like the first sentence of the synopsis from the press release. But it leaves out like the other sentences.
Right. Yeah. Ethan Hunt and his team must track down insert MacGuffin here, and then they must stop it before it, destroys the world, I guess. Sure.
Let's think about this for a minute. The first one was about they stole all the names of CIA, FBI, whatever agents.
Yep.
I don't remember the second one because that movie sucks.
There was a virus
I don't remember.
of some kind. There was like a chimera virus or something
Oh, not so dissimilar to this. But anyway, the third one was about Philip Seymour Hoffman being evil. And I don't remember any of the other fucking ones. I mean, it's kind of interesting though. You can see the line where Christopher McQuarrie took over. And because the last 4 movies, even though they're different movies, they're all exactly the same. Whereas the first 3 have some differences between them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of like Bond movies almost, where it's like the different directors bring their own kind of, kit and caboodle to the movie.
Right. Whereas this is definitely a Christopher McQuarrie show. So, That's not good or bad. That just is. Anyway, Megan, what did you think of this movie? What did you think of the story? Da, 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 da.
Oh, we're starting with me. Okay.
Yeah, we're starting with you.
Because we started off, Mike, you had some very strong opinions, so I thought you were going to
I'm going to try to remember them.
I remember what you were talking about. You said that the first half you thought really moved quickly, and then the second half kind of petered out for you. And for me, it was kind of the reverse. So I am fairly new-ish to the Mission Impossible films. We covered the fourth one a while ago, I think on a Patreon, and that and the first one were the only ones I'd seen. So in preparation for Dead Reckoning Part 1, I watched all of the rest, all of them. So
oh boy.
It's no small feat, let me tell you.
no, and I watched them all in about 2 days, and they really all bleed together.
Yes.
Because for me, the big problem is that no one's a character. They're all just there to enact the set pieces, and they're all just there to do the action scenes, which don't get me wrong. The set pieces are impressive. The action scenes are incredible. The chase scenes are phenomenal. But I'm watching these, and I'm watching one after another, and I'm like, these are like the Fast and Furious movies, but without the comedy and without Vin Diesel taking everything seriously like a Shakespearean tragedy. But it's like every single Fast and Furious film kind of like one-ups itself. And that's what these are doing. Like,
Right.
even if you haven't seen any of the Mission Impossibles, I find it hard to not have heard about how Tom Cruise is doing the most impossible stunt. It's the craziest stunt. It's the most wild stunt. And yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous and incredible, but that's all they're doing is they're just one-upping it. And the whole time I'm watching Dead Reckoning, I'm just waiting for this unbelievable bonkers stunt. I'm just going to break, which to me was kind of like, it really was.
So
I will say the stunt itself, where he's like, he keeps going up this mountain so he can get onto this train, and he has to get on the top of this train, and he basically rides the motorcycle off a cliff, and he's all concerned because he's he's like, if I put my parachute, it's gonna snag on the mountains because it's too close. And I will say that moment that he takes off, I like kind of had my breath in my throat because I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. But then it like cuts away, and I'm like, oh, I mean, and it's still like, yes, it's Tom Cruise doing it. It's an incredibly dangerous stunt. He does all his own stunts, or as many as he can. And I know that's his thing. And I have to say, like, I like that he wants to do that because he thinks that in an action scene or in an action movie, the actor should as much as they can, because then you're getting an authentic reaction. Sure, and I'm with him in all of that. I will say it's really funny that I just think that every single Mission Impossible, he's just running like a maniac. I feel like you can't have a Tom Cruise movie without him running, and not just like running, but like sprinting full
sprinting
speed.
At 100%.
Yes,
flailing arms. Yeah,
he's a maniac. He is
like arms pumping.
Yes, he's a running machine. Like, it just was impressive watching these all kind of in a row. Okay, so having said all of that, I love Rebecca Ferguson. I think she's a great addition to the films because I love her. I think she's a great actress. I think Vanessa Kirby is a great addition to the films because I also love her as an actor. I think Haley Atwell is a great addition to the films.
Love Haley Atwell.
Love Haley Atwell. How Haley Atwell has not been an enormous star kind of blows my mind, considering
she's been in all of these huge things.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's been, Marvel and, and
Isn't she
Peggy
Agent Carter?
and yes, she's Peggy Carter. Yes.
Yeah.
But she's still not like, I feel like a household name or a huge star.
It's because her name's Haley. That's why.
Okay. Maybe. But I will tell you, the person who I think was most phenomenal to me in this movie,
I know who you're going to say,
is Pom Clemente.
Yes.
Yes. Pom Clemente is acting her motherfucking face off driving. Like, she is chewing up the scenery. She is angry. Like, every time she's like chasing Tom Cruise, she's a machine, and I was here for it, and I loved her. And
I thought she was great.
So great. And I just want to see more of her because she was so good in this. So yeah, so the stunts, they're impressive. They're great. I will say the train scene, which is like the last third of the film, all takes place in a train. It basically unravels into a fucking disaster movie where this train is just gonna go off a cliff, and it's amazing. And I loved every moment of it because I love a disaster movie. I'm here for it. So I enjoyed this because of Pom Clemente, because of Haley Atwell, because of Rebecca Ferguson, and that train disaster movie
Mm-hmm.
sequence.
That sounds cool to me. Was
It was
that
great.
the quote unquote dead reckoning?
No.
No.
That involved a Russian submarine.
I see.
Yeah. So the MacGuffin in this one,
Oh, yeah.
Evan,
I was like, yes, you should tell the MacGuffin, Dave.
is AI, basically. It's this computer
Oh.
program that the Russians were testing out that becomes self-aware and decides, I've had enough of you humans.
Weirdly prescient.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
Right.
is I think Tom Cruise speak for I don't trust algorithms. Go watch your movies in a theater. But that's just my interpretation.
Yeah, I don't think that's a long leap.
No, it's not. Considering all those ads of him being like, go see our movies in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
The movies are
That being
back.
said, this movie is made to watch on a giant screen.
Yes.
It really, even if you've got an 85-inch TV at home, it's really not the same. And I had the fortune of seeing this at a press screening where it was just press and there were like 12 of us there and it's fucking great. So,
You lucky duck.
yeah. And I kind of had a different reaction. Oh, well, you said what I said, which was the first half I thought moved really well. And I think what worked for me so well was I love car chases, and car chases are hard to do. One, because all the cool shit's been done. But two, they're just like, people just don't know how to direct them.
No, they don't.
I don't know why,
Mhm.
but this one is great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
The car chase
it's-
through Rome, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like on the edge of your seat,
yes.
terrifying, exhilarating. It's funny. And
It is. Yes, you're right. It is
Yeah.
funny.
And the entire time you're watching it, Pom Clemente, you're pretty sure is like going to change into a human dagger because she just looks like she's so filled with rage.
Yeah,
while
she's like the
driving this
T-1000.
Yeah, she really
This
is.
just so funny to think about because all I can think about is her playing Mantis in the Marvel
Yes.
movies.
It's
No, this is
a
she's
complete 180.
yeah, she's got tremendous range, clearly, because I didn't even think of Mantis once while watching her in this.
Yeah. But I think this movie, it's fine. It's good for what it is. This is how I would describe it. If you're into this kind of movie, fine, but your mileage may vary. I kind of feel like I'm glad I saw it, but at the same time, if I haven't, my life would be neither richer nor poorer,
Yeah.
And I just feel like the first half with that great car chase and like the desert, sniper opening and all this other shit that goes on. I think Simon Pegg is a good addition to this, and he's finally. I know they don't really play characters, but he's finally found the right tone, or the screenplay has, of his character being absurd and his character being able to take him seriously.
Mhm.
He's
And
certainly
I
the
thought the
one
whole-
that's the most like a character, though. I agree with you
Yeah.
on that.
In the ones I've seen, I'd agree. That was a great point that you made before, Megan, because I was just thinking about that.
Oh, thank you.
I was thinking about it more and more in my head, and it's like in these movies, all the other characters really kind of exist to be a support team for Tom Cruise. It's like
Totally.
they have such little
Totally.
personality or use other than to be there at the computer pressing buttons or getting him the gadgets or what have you, in a way that's just not the same when you're watching a Fast and Furious movie. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that Ethan Hunt works for a fictional spy agency, and I know that shouldn't be a big deal when you have a character like James Bond. For me, anytime I watch those movies, I kind of just it pulls me out just a little bit more. That it to me, the IMF does not feel like a real spy agency. It feels like a comic booky kind of thing.
The
and it just
Impossible
never-
Mission Force. That's just a stupid name. It's stupid. And the only time they ever mention how stupid it is in the third one when Michelle Monaghan's like, "You're called the Impossible Mission Force." He's like, "I know, it's dumb."
Wait,
You know.
they actually do address it in this one too with Carrie
Oh, do they?
Eloise. Yeah, where like Carrie Eloise is like the head of the CIA or something, and he talks about that. He's like, so you leave word if you want someone to take care of the job. Like he does talk kind kind of meta about how absurd
Yeah.
the premise is, but yeah, I hear you. It's very different. Like, oh, MI6, that's a real thing, for this fake
Right.
secret force
And
thing.
I think that one of the mistakes this movie makes is casting Cary Elwes as the CIA director. I just don't believe it. He doesn't have the gravitas, Cary Elwes is an extension of his character from Glory, maybe. Okay. But not, old Cary Elwes, who we've seen, basically in a lot of comedies at this point. I think it's also kind of a mistake having the same guy. I don't know how many of the Mission Impossible movies he's been in, but the guy who plays the director of the IMF in the first one,
Henry Czerny.
It's just
I love him.
I do. I like him, but I just don't think that he works anymore. And I also think, and I don't think this is her problem, but Haley Atwell's kind of in a different movie, because her character is new to all of this. So everything in her portrayal is much more grounded, I feel like, than everybody else's.
Agree.
And then, of course, I feel like the train sequence didn't work as well for me. I feel like once Rebecca Ferguson, spoiler, dies, or is she really dead?
I hope she's still alive, for fuck's sakes, because I was pissed.
I don't know. It seemed like she was pretty fucking dead.
I know. But that scene, I was like, there's no... So we haven't even talked about that Issei Morales is in this, who I love him.
Right.
I always love seeing him.
So great.
He's so good, and he's really sinister.
And
in
he's
this,
creepy in this.
Yeah, he is.
He's super creepy.
He is. He's great in this role. But I'm like, there's no way in hell that Rebecca Ferguson, who's like a trained assassin in multiple weapons and who has fended off people by herself, is gonna get taken in by this guy and he's gonna kill her. Come on, I didn't buy it, and it pissed me off. It wasn't a very good fight scene either.
It wasn't. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It's an odd location where they're it's on like a footbridge over a canal, and there's not much room for them to maneuver, but they don't kind of make it. It's just awkward, but not awkward because they're fighting in such close quarters. It's awkward because it's almost like the choreography, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's the same fight choreographer as the other film. So at least the other Macquarie films, because I was thinking that I was like, there's no way it can be the same fight choreographer who did the choreography for the amazing Henry Cavill, Tom Cruise bathroom fight scene with the stunt guy. That scene is one of my favorite of all of the Mission Impossibles. That's one of my favorite scenes. That bathroom fight scene is incredible, and it's such tight quarters. You would think that on a footbridge that could have been interesting, but no, it's just not. It's not visually interesting at all.
By the way, I apologize, but what happened to Henry Cavill did he die or did he retire? He died.
No,
okay.
he was a bad guy and he died.
He was a bad guy. See, I couldn't remember,
Yeah, he was a double agent essentially, and he was a bad guy and he died because there was a helicopter chase scene.
Yeah, the only other thing I really remember about villains dying is that Lea Seydoux falls out a window in the fourth one.
Oh, I'd forgotten that. But that's
huge
right, she
skyscraper.
does. Yes. Because wasn't she fighting Ilsa, Rebecca Ferguson?
I think she was fighting Paula Patton.
Oh, Paula Patton. That's right. Because Rebecca Ferguson doesn't come till the next one. That's right.
Yeah. And Paula Patton, who disappears, I don't think she dies in that one. She's just not in the next one.
Nope, she's not.
Nope. Didn't
She's on to another mission. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. So a mission that's more possible, I guess.
I guess.
Mission Possible.
Or maybe she turned down the impossible mission because they do have the choice if you choose to accept. So
That's true.
Yeah. That's true.
She let that message self-destruct and went on her way.
She's like, nope, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Vanessa Kirby was good. I don't remember her being in the other movies. She must be in
she's
one
in
of
the
them
last
at least.
one. Yeah, she's in the last one.
No
and she's
memory.
really good.
No memory. So let's get back to the train sequence for a second.
Okay.
Once Tom Cruise got on the train, that's kind of when I lost interest because then it became, they've done trains before in the Mission Impossible movies. In the first one, I don't know if there's more trains, but I've also recently, I feel like every train movie at some point, they end up on top of the train fighting and they got to duck down before they like hit the tunnel. Every fucking train fight, ever, anywhere. No, done with that. So,
Well, it happens in Dial of Destiny too.
And then
brace yourself.
Spoiler, I don't know if I'm ever going to see fucking Dial of Destiny, but anyway,
good.
Anyway,
but
and then
that's a different movie.
when the train careens off the cliff and then they have to keep climbing up the train cars because they keep falling off. I was just like, this is just stupid. I just didn't.
It was great. It was like a
That
video
sounds
game.
fun to me.
It was. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Tomb Raider reboot where she's climbing and like the boats are going over the rapids, and then there's this is not actually the part, but it reminded me of that part. It reminded me when she crashes her thing into the trees. Anyway, I'm not making sense. But anyway, there is a part in Tomb Raider where she is climbing up like this. Actually, it's every single climax of the reboot and the second one and the third one where you've got to like climb, and it's like a vertical camera looking down. Anyway, it's great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I'm just going to go on record and say that you are incorrect, that it is not a great sequence.
Oh, no, you're wrong, Dave. I'm sorry, but you are dead reckoning wrong.
Yeah.
It's great.
I think this is going to sound stupid.
Check yourself before you're dead reckoning.
That's right. This is going to sound ridiculous in light of how ridiculous all the stunts are in this movie. But like you go to that car chase, which feels a lot more realistic than people trying to climb up a train as it's falling off a cliff. I know that's ridiculous considering we're talking about a movie where a guy rides a motorcycle off the side of a mountain and then base jumps from the motorcycle, but
and where people are wearing other people's faces like it's nothing.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact that the face maker in this one just craps out and they're like, what do we do now?
And Tom Cruise is like, I'm going in. And they're like, no, you can't. I'm doing it.
Yeah. And there also is like a little, I don't know if this is how interesting this is to either of you. Well, Megan, you've seen it, so maybe it is. I do appreciate the fact that they have brought in a civilian into this because, like I said before, it adds a level of, oh my God, we might die that the other movies just don't have, you know?
Yes.
So.
Yes. No, I liked this. I had a blast with this, but I do think that most of these are very forgettable, aside from certain fight sequences,
right.
Aside from certain chase sequences. And the Rome car chase is incredible. I think that and the train scene are the best in this film. And the riding a motorcycle off a cliff, because that's just bananas.
Yeah. I saw the behind the scenes footage of him doing that, and watching the stunt as it's happening, that's impressive. Watching it in the movie, I was kind of like, it's fine.
Especially how many times he rehearsed it. He rehearsed that stunt something like 30 times. So he rode the motorcycle off the cliff and base jumped like 30 times.
That's wild. See, and I haven't seen it. I didn't watch the behind the scenes. I'd never watched trailers. So this was my first time seeing it. So that also might be, and I'm seeing it on an IMAX screen because the screening I went to is an IMAX. So it might have something to do with that, you know, like maybe you watching it again, it kind of lost its luster, or maybe it was the way it was edited. It could be that too, because it is edited, you know, before he gets on top of the train. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't watch the behind the scenes stuff till after I saw it.
Oh,
so,
okay. That's fair then. Then never mind.
Because the thing that I was thinking was, I'm like, oh, they really CG it out. Like, cause there's a ramp that he's riding the motorcycle on in real life, and they CG'd out the ramp really well. It really looks like he's riding up a mountain. you know?
I didn't know there was a ramp. So it was done quite well.
Yeah. So, anyway, I can't not say, I can't say don't see this, you know, see it. It's a hoot, but I mean, is it the best hoot?
Oh, and you also said, does this story need to be told in 2 parts in 5 hours?
Yeah. I think I said 5.5 hours because this movie is like 2:45.
Yeah. Almost 3.
And just if you're gonna, you know, have a movie that's longer than Amadeus, then you know, I think it just has to be better. I'm sorry. You know, I mean, this is a 3-star movie. You know, it's not fucking amazing. Like over on Letterboxd, people are like jizzing in their pants about it. It's like at 4 fucking stars out of 5 on Letterboxd, and it's like I'm beginning to think that like Letterboxd just must be like a place for stans, because this is just not a 4 out of 5 star movie. The stunts maybe.
Well, but that's the thing. Maybe depending on what the metric you're using, like if you're comparing it to other action films, maybe to people that is a 4 out of 5 star film.
Other action films? I don't know. I mean,
the action is great. I'm just saying. I'm saying that might be how other people are rating it. I don't know.
But let's just look at this. Not in. Let's move outside of Mission Impossible and go to a completely different. We were talking about a Keanu Reeves movie over on the bonus episode. The foot chase in Point Break, I think, is more like compelling than anything in this.
Not to me.
Yeah.
I don't
just
agree.
because of the, how kinetic it is and this, that.
Sure.
Well, except for the car chase. This is a class A car chase. I will give this movie that. This is a almost, Phil D'Antoni, William Friedkin car chase,
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Point Break foot chasing is excellent. I don't think it's better than what's here. I think they can be equally good, though. I don't know, if we have to say one has to be better. But anyway.
No, I don't
digress.
think so either.
I'm just saying that might be the rubric people are using to rate it,
Yeah, I mean, you have a point, because this is also, anybody going into this like looking for realism is like, barking up the wrong tree. At the same time, though, it is interesting to me that this is the movie they chose, the most outlandish one, to have a character who is more grounded than any other character play a major role in the story. So
that is true.
I don't know. It's an interesting. I would love to know what goes on in Tom Cruise's mind. I really would.
Oh no, I don't want to go in there.
I'm not saying I want to live in there forever. I'm just saying, give me 3 hours. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, tell us where Shelley Miscavige is.
Oh yeah, God! It took me a moment to realize what you meant, but yeah. Except for that, we'll leave out the Scientology. I'm talking about the work part.
I was thinking of Scientology too, because I feel like how can you not? But
well, now our podcast is going to get tagged flagged because you both said Scientology, and someone's got that in a Google search right now.
Yeah, I didn't say it.
We've all said it.
I didn't use the S word.
I didn't either. You said it, Dave.
I must be hearing things.
All right.
Anyway, that's Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
What an ending.
Yeah.
What an ending.
It is a real cliffhanger of a movie. I mean, it just ends, No,
I meant our discussion.
I know what you meant. I'm comparing our discussion to the end of Dead Reckoning, which is like Dead Reckoning is one of those cliffhanger movies where it's like, it's a cliffhanger because it's a cliffhanger, but at the same time, they're like, well, movie's over. It's like there's no pomp and circumstance to the end.
Right. They just cut to credits like, all right,
Pretty much.
you're done.
Yeah.
No to be continued, just like you're done.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, well, that seems like a good point to move on to talk about Final Cut. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is a French remake of the Japanese zombie film One Cut of the Dead. It is written and directed by Michel Hazanavicius. And the source material written by Shinichiro Ueda and Ryoichi Wada. And I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. In our one-sentence IMDb, this horror comedy, things go badly for a small film crew shooting a low-budget zombie movie when they're attacked by real zombies. Not really, but that's okay. It's kind of hard.
I mean, this movie
not
is in
to
3
spoil-
parts, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You don't want to spoil the actual premise of the movie in the plot summary to the degree, I think. Had either of you seen One Cut of the Dead before?
I have not.
I've heard
Yeah,
of
me
it,
neither.
but I have not seen it.
Yeah, heard of it, heard good things about it. So this, I was going in blind in terms of comparing this to the remake. So I guess we'll just talk about it as is. Yeah. What did you think?
Dave, do you want to start since I started last time?
Sure.
Or do you want me to start?
No, it's fine. I'll start. I think this is a good place to admit that I think I just hate this director's movies. I hated this. I didn't hate it. I disliked it intensely. I really disliked Godard, Monomore. I really dislike the artist. I don't like that spy movie he did with Jean Dujardin. I don't like the fact that all this guy's movies are about movies. It just makes me mad. And this kind of feels like I said, I haven't seen the Japanese movie that inspired this, but I feel like this is what happens when like you have an American director remaking a French movie. It's just, and the thing that's crazy about this is a good cast. Like Ramon Dury is a good actor. The woman from what's the Revenge movie that
Revenge, Coralie Fargiat's Revenge with Matilda Lutz.
Is it just called Revenge?
It's just called Revenge. It's Matilda Lutz or Lutz. I'm not sure. She's amazing.
She was great in that. She's good in this. I think she's great in this. She's good in this. And then Bernice Bejo, she's great generally, and they're good in this. They're all fine. This fucking story, like, I just don't want to watch a movie being made and the machinations of a movie being made. One, I know how movies are made. Like, two, I don't give a shit about the personal lives of any filmmaker, really, especially, and just, But I think this is all poisoned by going into this. I hadn't looked up who the director was, and right before I started it, I was like, oh no, I think this is the guy who directed The Artist. And then I looked it up, and it was, and I was immediately furious. So,
oh no.
And I just think the conceit, I think the first 2/3 are so awful that the last third, when you actually see the whole noises off thing, impromptu thing going on, which actually sort of is a little bit of a balm, BALM, to the first 2/3, it can't make up for the dog shit that came before it.
I feel like I should maybe just give a little more plot summary.
You should definitely give more plot summary.
Yes.
So when we first see this film crew, we know that they're shooting a zombie movie, and it seems they're set upon by real zombies. And it ends with this crazy kill scene where the final girl, she survives, she's covered in blood, what have you. And then we rewind back to when the movie, back to when the director is approached about making this movie, and we see the entire backstory of the movie, and that you find out that it's not real zombies. This is a film that's being shot and I guess aired live.
Yes.
So there's a lot of improv elements based on the circumstances and things that happen, including the director's wife takes on a prominent role in the film because two of the actors are in a car accident. The director himself is actually playing the role of the director in the movie at the last minute. And you see all the buildup and rehearsal and things that they're doing to get to this point, and then you see the other side of it as they're making it. So all these moments that seem like they're natural moments that are happening as you're following this film crew being attacked by zombies, you see how they were all staged, or how improv or other situations, like one of the actors is like fall down drunk, and so he vomits on someone, and that's real vomit. It's not the zombie vomiting, it's him vomiting. And it's situations like that, or the director's wife has this issue where she gets too into her roles. You find out, so she's taking it too. She's taking Krav Maga, and so she's actually kicking and punching people and knocking people over. And there's just a number of other kind of wild elements. One of the guys gets diarrhea because he can only drink soft water, and someone gives him just regular water, so he's off shitting himself when he's supposed to be getting into zombie making. So you see all these kind of kooky behind the scenes moments. It starts with the film itself, then it goes backwards, and then we go back to the film and rework through all of these different moments from the other perspective.
And I hated it.
I think we got that.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear.
Well, the other thing that I should mention is that a lot of these characters are really unlikable, and you don't have to like characters. Like, you don't have to.
You don't.
But the actor that Finnegan Oldfield plays, the prick actor,
Oh, the one who's
Hated-
obsessed with capitalism and like authenticity. Yeah.
I just hated his
French
character.
Adam Driver, as they call him.
Yes,
Yes.
I just hated his character and wish somebody had taken the real axe and buried it in his forehead. And I thought just the amount of screaming that Roman Duris does just started to grate on me. There was one thing in this movie that really cracked me up. And it's great because it was intended to be a gag, and it's a running gag. And it's the sound effect guy who keeps getting lost because there's so much improvisation during the live show. And he finally just takes off his headphones. He's like, I don't know what to do. Like, what? And it's just, and that guy being so perplexed just really made me laugh. But everything else just made me kind of want to, set the building that they were doing the live broadcast in on fire. So, especially, and this is, I don't know, it's also kind of a bad location. I think intentionally bad, but it's a really uncompelling place to stage that movie. It's just a big, open, empty space, and it's very sunny outside, completely incongruous to like a zombie story, and that's fine.
That's
But
what I liked about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that it works because, one of the things that they say is like, oh, this is where all the testing on the human subjects was. And it's like, really, this idyllic fucking cornfield, like where, I walk out of the building and like Walt Disney's going to come wandering in next to me and be like, look at those birds. I just, I don't know.
No different than Hereditary and having bright sunshine and meadows and flowers. So I like
Hereditary.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the bright sun. I like the juxtaposition of a sunny landscape and horror happening.
But those are different though, because they
are.
They work.
But see, I don't agree.
To
I
different
like
people.
this.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I also don't agree, and I like this, and we'll get to
man.
that in a minute. But yeah, you're on an island on this one, Dave.
That's fine. I'll fucking die on this island. I don't give a fuck.
He's fortifying his positions, Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, I can agree. I think the middle very much lags, and I found the middle very tedious, and I was like, oh god. The beginning started so good. I was really into the beginning, and then I was like the middle. I was like, I don't care. I don't care about the producer, the Japanese producer, broaching a French director for the remake, and apparently that woman who's the producer was in One Cut of the Dead. So I was like, okay, it's like a nice little tie, but. Yeah, and there's some interesting, I guess, commentary happening on remakes and kind of the point of remakes as this is a remake, with the fact that the director keeps trying to make changes, but the producer doesn't want him to make changes. She wants a straight like literally line for line, so far as even the character names are Japanese, they're not changed to French names. So, it is very interesting. Funny. Yeah, I didn't find it funny so much, but although I think it is supposed to be and kind of the absurdity of it, but I think it is kind of an interesting commentary, which Dave, you did touch upon when when you were talking about, remakes and the point of remakes. And I often think like, what the hell is the point of a remake? I'll just watch the original. But I will say the end and the last third of this and watching the behind the scenes and watching the improvisation, I usually don't like. I like them conceptually, but time loop movies I often find very frustrating because seeing the same thing over and over and over becomes very tedious.
Yeah.
And I think that could have very well gone that route here. But for me, seeing the behind the scenes and seeing kind of all of the improvisation and seeing all of the tricks, I was like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's clever. And I really enjoyed it. And, Dave, you talked about the performances, and Matilda Lutz is so phenomenal. If you haven't seen Revenge, go see Revenge immediately because she is a force of nature in it, and she's amazing. And she's so great here. From when she's playing an influencer who's not really versed in acting, who's doing a bad acting job, to a fantastic acting job, I think she's really accessing her performance on a lot of levels, which I like. I think Berenice Bejo is great. I agree with you. I think actually all of the actors are really, really good here, and that's why I liked it. And I liked the meta commentary on remakes and behind the scenes of filmmaking. I enjoyed this. I think the middle suffers, but I think the first act and the third act are good enough to make it an interesting and entertaining watch.
Yes, great. I got to break back in here and say remind you that what I said was the last third wasn't enough to make up for the dog shit that was the first
Yeah, I know.
2/3. So
That's not my opinion, but I know that's
no,
what
no,
you
no, no,
said.
no, no. I'm not saying it is. I'm clarifying just so we're all clear that there were parts of the last bit that I did enjoy. Noise is Off is not one of my favorite plays in the world. Lots of plays aren't my favorite play in the world. But I did think some of it was clever, like the vomiting, the drunk guy who's so drunk that he actually vomits, and the way that they were able to do that is basically the director is pushing his, got his shoulder in his ass and one arm on this guy's arm. And like that stuff I all thought was interesting. And how they built the
crane shot.
The crane shot I thought was stupid, but at the same time cute.
Yeah, that was cute.
And I did like that the final sound effect of all the zombies in, coming in the distance was actually all of the cast and crew moaning because they were so tired from holding everybody up to make the human crane. I thought that all of that was kind of fun. But like I said, those first 2/3, man, especially the second part, Megan, I think we're on the same page about that.
Yeah, I agree with you about the second part. It's really, it's brutal. It almost unraveled it for me. I agree. I very much agree with you on that. But for me, the third and the first are so good that I was able to overlook. But different strokes.
Yeah. Different strokes for different peeps. Yeah.
Also, just one more thing.
Goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One more thing that I also liked, since we're talking about the third part, I also really liked when the camera is like looking over the stairs at Matilda Lutz, and she's like hacking the director with her axe, and then it pulls around, and it's the prop special effects woman, and she's like holding a tube in her mouth, so blood is like squirting up at her, and she's taking like buckets of blood and splashing it. Anyway, it's great. Anyway, I liked that. But Evan, what did you think? Because you said you liked it too.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the same page as you about this movie, Megan. I really enjoyed the first part. There's a chaoticness to it.
Yes.
There's I loved the kind of saturated style of cinematography, the way that the musical cues kind of come and go, and then like later realizing why that is, why they would stop so abruptly. That was like really entertaining. I just thought that part was a lot of fun, and the middle, I agree with both of you, kind of drags, and to borrow an expression you've used in the past, Dave, it's long in the tooth. It feels definitely long in the middle, too long, I would say, before we get back to them making the movie, actually shooting it, and all of the, hijinks and shenanigans that are happening behind the scenes. But that last act for me also just really hooked me. And I was so excited watching it, and both from a fascination of how movies are made and how these things come together, and also the ways that the movie to me was very convincing in showing all these improvs and moments that were happy accidents that looked staged and looked like they were intentional. Looked like they were intentional pieces of the production when I was watching it through the first time. The weird part where the cameraman falls on the ground and is injured, and the camera is just sitting there on the ground watching the action. The scene where there's, from the stairwell, the push zoom that they're describing on the arm when it gets flung into the open door, the scene where they're running down the hallway and the camera's following them on a wheelchair. There's just, or the part where the camera guy gets stuck. His hook is stuck on the door, and he's just standing there for a minute or two while they're trying to cut him free. There were so many moments like that I found so entertaining, seeing the flipped version of it, that I was like, okay, I can excuse the middle part because it got me to this part. And the kind of cute, sweet story about this family working on it together. The director having to stand in for the role of the director, his wife joining the cast, and then his daughter helping them figure out how to do the crane. And then that like cute photo of them together of her on his shoulders with the camera, and also that scene where he was sobbing uncontrollably looking at pictures of his daughter. The wife just comes in and asks what the hell is going on. I'm a softie. What can I say?
That's okay. I thought the picture of her on his shoulders was cute, but that's only because I have put my children on my shoulders. So,
But it
Yeah.
is cute and it is sweet.
yeah.
I don't have children
is.
and I liked it too.
Yep. So I really liked this. I when I hit the middle part, I started to groan and think I was not gonna like the rest of the
Me
movie
too.
because I don't like you. I think it was you said, Megan. I don't like time loop movies necessarily.
Yes.
I don't like watching the same thing from a different perspective over and over again. But this movie made it worth my while, and it also kind of just flashed me back to my college days of working on short films with my friends and doing just ridiculous shit like that. We're like, okay, do this, throw this here, you go here. Oh, okay. You know, just like weird things that you do to try and get the shot. And it just was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Dave is groaning with his eyes, basically.
no. I think more than anything, I just don't like movies about movies. I just don't. I've realized that over time because I think it's just super self-indulgent. Like, fucking accountants don't show you the behind the scenes of accounting work. Now, not that anybody would pay to see that, but
It's like maybe they should.
maybe they should. It's like, this is what I fucking went through to prepare your
Right?
taxes, asshole. So I have a general distaste for movies that love themselves. So
Mhm.
That's a really. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say that's the only kind of movie this guy makes. So
That's a really fair point. I kind of am of the mindset that every movie is an indulgent, self-indulgent project.
yeah.
So
you have a point there too.
thank you. So I think I'm less harsh on movies about movies, but I know what you mean. There is a pretentiousness that pervades a lot of movies about movies. I don't get that sense here though. And I also don't, and I think on the flip side, I think it would have been very easy to kind of be denigrating about genre filmmaking, particularly horror filmmaking. And it's not. Like, I know, Dave, you hated the guy who is the French Adam Driver, and he is really obnoxious. But the fact that he's talking so kind of highbrow about the zombie genre, subgenre of horror, and he's really thinking about it, to me, that is indicative of a kind of level of respect of horror that you don't always see from mainstream filmmakers, or more mainstream filmmakers. So I really appreciated that. And I appreciated that it was, kind of tipping its hat to horror filmmaking and the innovativeness of not just filmmakers in general, but specifically of horror filmmakers.
It's interesting that you bring that up because when he said that, I did think to myself, oh, I wonder what everybody's opinion, the characters or, the actors playing them otherwise, of George Romero's Dead series, because over the course of those movies, the dead become more humanized and the humans become less humanized.
Yes. Yes. And I like that you have that one guy who's like, well, wait, and he like contradicts him and he's like, well, actually, there's all different kinds of zombies now. He's like, some talk, some not. And the other guy's like, excuse me, I wasn't talking to you. Like, so
Yeah.
you kind of get that, divergent view, which I think is great. So, but it makes sense to me, all of those things, Dave, that you're saying. It makes sense why this did not work for you at all.
Yeah.
I wish it had. I feel bad.
Having worked on enough low budget movies that were misery. So
Maybe that's why too.
That's part of it too. There is nothing worse than working on a movie. If you work in movies, there's nothing worse than working on a movie that the director thinks is a $14 million movie, but you only have $140,000. So, and I worked on many of those in my ute. So, yeah, the largest budget movie I ever worked on, I think, was like $11 million. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
it's a big deal.
Well, even in 1999, that wasn't a ton of money, but
but I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, but the actors, they had trailers on that one, so that that there was some money.
There we go. That's fancy. But I just want to before we pivot to something else, I just want to go back to what you were saying, Dave, about how you don't like this director's other films. And I haven't seen a ton of his films, but I actually do like The Artist. And I feel like that's such a controversial take now because I feel like it got so much praise and so many accolades when it premiered. And I feel like there's been a backlash to it where people are like, actually, that movie's trash. And I get both sides. I actually enjoy it. And I do like the behind the scenes of silent filmmaking. Like, yes, do I think it's as good as Singing in the Rain? No, of course not, because Singing in the Rain is a fucking masterpiece and I love it. But I do like The Artist and appreciate what it's doing. So maybe I have a little more grace for this director.
Well, and I like Jean Dujardin, I think he's a fine actor.
He is.
Who's been in a ton of this guy's movies.
Yeah.
So, but I prefer him more in like that movie we saw. Was it called Deerskin?
Yes.
About the guy who goes crazy over that jacket.
Yes. Then Quentin Dupieux.
Yeah, that's more my kind of movie.
Yeah, that guy's films are just absurd.
Yeah, a movie, a jacket that drives someone insane to the point of mass murder. Yeah. So.
But Evan, I like that this reminded you. I know, but actually this movie seemed to strike a chord with both of you, but Dave, a negative chord for you about your filmmaking days. But I like that, Evan, it reminded you of your filmmaking days in a very loving way. I think that's nice.
It gave me warm fuzzies.
I wish it did for me. I had so much fun making all the short films with my friends or the ones that were my own. That was fun.
Aww.
But I think part of it's because it's like, all right, we have $900. That includes processing. So,
Gotta get creative.
So this chair that we're going to break, we can't buy a $15 chair. We have to buy a $4 chair. So that stuff's kind of fun, but I don't know. Watching other people struggle through it.
All right. Well, we have anything else to add about Final Cut?
I guess the only thing I want to add is I apologize to you both if I came off really hot.
I think it's funny. Okay. Thank you, but I think it's funny.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're just passionate.
Yeah. What's funny? Of all the people here, I thought that potentially I might be an outlier for liking this. I thought you both might not have landed as well for either of you.
Oh.
So, and I was kind of even surprised as I was watching it. Like I said, I hit that middle part of the movie and thought, I don't know I don't know about this. So I'm very surprised to come out on the other end of this saying I like it and would recommend it to people. I really was not expecting.
Me too, Evan. I'm right there with you. That was my exact reaction to this movie.
Movies surprise us sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I feel like sometimes you got to stick with a movie and go on that journey, because sometimes the ending will make or break it.
Yeah. But sometimes it breaks it, and then you've spent 3 hours watching Prince of the City by Sidney Lumet, and you're like, no, it didn't get better.
I haven't seen that in a while.
I haven't seen it ever.
I got two words for you: Treat Williams. Okay, so.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a Treat Williams fan. I don't know.
Yeah, you won't be after watching this fucker.
All right. Well,
that's just an example. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, let's bring things in for a landing here. So to recap, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is in theaters. What do you think? See it or don't see it?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to see a huge action movie, like this, you have to see it in a theater. You have to. So,
okay, I might still watch it at home, but
yeah, I think I think you'll be okay if you watch it at home. But it's better on a big screen. I don't disagree with Dave.
Totally, I get it. Yeah. I've watched many a Mission Impossible on the big screen, so I totally get it. And then it sounds like, Dave, you would not recommend Final Cut, but Megan and I are on the same page about recommending it.
I was going to say, if you really dislike yourself, then I would totally recommend it.
Ouch. Burn.
Ouch. Burn.
Yeah.
No. For people who do like themselves, as you two clearly do, it's just that I'm just being ridiculous. Who the fuck am I? Go fucking see Coupe. What do I care?
Yeah. And I think that's also in theaters.
I think so.
And on VOD, I think.
And on VOD.
Yeah. I would also say, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I would also say see it. And if in the middle you feel a lag, push through, keep going.
Yep,
Because
keep
the end
going.
is great.
It's worth it. Mhm.
Yes.
I was just thinking of what all the different translations, like this the French movie is just called Cut. That's all it's called. That's what coupe means.
Mhm.
The English version is Final Cut. I think the original Japanese movie isn't called One Cut of the Dead. It's something like Don't Stop Filming or Don't Stop Shooting or something like that.
Probably.
You know? So it's just, it's interesting, all these different titles.
Don't stop the camera. You're right, Dave.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Yeah, I like that too. I like hearing the different film titles in different countries. That always is fun to me.
I also like in some where they're just like, we're not going to translate. It's just the English it's just the English title.
Yes.
Home Alone is Home Alone, okay?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Dave, we were talking. I can't remember if this made it into the Patreon or the main episode, but you're talking about the French way of putting "le" in front of things. To be like, "Le Home Alone."
Yeah, exactly. If it starts out in a different language, for some reason, when it becomes French, it's always masculine, which I think is just a hilarious rule. Because it's like, okay, you know, Le Weekend.
Sexism.
Yeah.
All right, well, that does it for another episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. We want to say a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clammer. Otto, thank you for making us sound great week after week.
Thank you, Otto.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find the show anywhere you get podcasts, but you can also find us at our website, which is spoilerpiece.com. You can head over there and click on the merch tab and check out our store on TeePublic, where you can get all kinds of cool Spoiler Piece merch. Shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, notebooks, pillows. Got a bunch of different stuff there. It's a great way to support the show. You can also follow us on social media. We're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook. We're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I don't know about any of the others. Megan, are we available on Threads, or have we not crossed that bridge yet?
We have not crossed that bridge, but we can.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Twitter. Anyway, if you want to reach out to us, you can email us, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Or you can give us a call.
At 862-21-PEACE.
You can leave us a voicemail, shoot us a text. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, you can tell us how much you love Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning or hate it, or tell us that you side with Dave when it comes to Final Cut or Coupe.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get.
Send reinforcements.
Got to fortify that island.
Yep. No, I'm just picturing people building those traps where it looks like there's like leaves and then there's like a hole that you fall into. Dave has like help doing that now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of trebuchets.
Oh, that too. I would love to see that as well.
Yes.
Makeshift
Traps and trebuchets.
island weapons.
Coconuts in the trebuchets.
Yep. I like where this is going. If you like the show, please rate and review us. Go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece, and that'll take you to your platform of choice. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you want. It helps us out. And if you really, really like the show, please consider joining our Patreon. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, this week we talked about the film My Own Private Idaho. Each week we do exclusive audio just for our patrons. And for $5 a month, you can get access to that audio, our hundreds of back episodes, and you can also vote in polls, which is pretty cool. We have those monthly. And yeah, I think I finally said all the things I need to say. So, my name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd as Real Recon.
And my name is Megan Kearns. I don't know why I said the and. I think I'm used to going last for some reason, even though we rotate every week. My name is Megan Kearns. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I, too, am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter at OpinionSWorld or on Instagram and Letterboxd at TheOpinionS.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I write for the Chicago Reader. The projectiles I use in a trebuchet are coconuts. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd as Dave Sees Movies.
And we'll see you next week for Island Warfare.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.